generation of gamers out there. Let me at least introduce myself.
Travis Touchdown. This is where it's been hiding.
Travis Strikes Again, No More Heroes, originally released on the Nintendo Switch earlier this year, is a spin-off to the original No More Heroes games, with a proper sequel scheduled to arrive on the Switch in 2020. Now released on the PS4, is Travis Strikes Again worth picking up for the third installment of the franchise? Let's find out. It's worth noting that I have never played the Switch version of the game, so I won't be able to comment on any subtle differences, though after a little bit of research, it seems as though this title is a direct port to the PS4 which just includes all the DLC. So, if you've already played the Switch version, then you've essentially played this version already. It might be worth picking up again for the trophies mind. For fans of the franchise who haven't played the Switch version though, this is probably well worth a purchase. Although this is a spin-off, it acts as a sort of sequel, continuing from where the previous games left off. The main story revolves around Badman, the father of an assassin who Travis killed in the first game called Bad Girl. He originally tracks down Travis, who is now retired and playing video games all day, with the intention of killing him to get revenge for his fallen daughter. However, certain events lead to both Travis and Badman being sucked into Travis' video game console, the Death Drive Mark II. They then learn from the console's AI, Death and Drive, that if they complete the only 6 games that were ever made for the unreleased console, they will be granted one wish. They then form a truce on an agreement that they will bring Bad Girl back to life using the game's one wish, starting a 6-game quest which the bulk of Travis Strikes Again is made up of. If you're not familiar with No More Heroes style of storytelling, and this all sounds a bit much, then this game may not be for you, as this is just the tip of the iceberg. For the most part, the story is on point. It's no surprise that the humour is a real highlight, using fourth wall breaking comedy much like a video game version of Deadpool. Though, Travis goes out of his way to remind us that he was doing this before Deadpool was even a thing. Travis's in-jokes, such as asking bosses if they're about to move on to their next phase, and suggesting that Devolver Digital might buy the rights to the sequel for his favourite video game, all made me genuinely laugh out loud. Even each of the 6 Death Drive game worlds have their own story, which brings something new and exciting. Again, the way Travis approaches each one is full of non-stop humour, which I found to be the driving force that kept me wanting to play on. Which is fortunate, as there's really not a lot else keeping me glued to the controller. Gameplay is a real mixed bag, which for the most part falls on the side of repetitive and boring. Travis once again has his trusty beam katana, which he uses to hack and slash his way through various enemies which appear as in-game bugs. It's all very straightforward, with the player having to hit square button for light attack and triangle for heavy attack. Once a katana has built up enough energy, you can unleash a super attack, and there are also plenty of skills to be used, such as firing a beam of electricity, slowing down time, or even throwing an enemy. All of these are fun to use. The problem lies with just how easy it is. There's never any challenge to the combat, and I often found myself mindlessly holding square as I cut through waves of enemies. Even when I had to mix up the attacks against some stronger enemies, it never felt like much of a challenge. Not even the bosses posed much of a threat, with not one of them taking more than 2 attempts to crush. Another issue is that each of the 6 Death Drive games give off the impression that you'll be playing a complete different gameplay style, depending on which one you're playing. This really isn't the case. Each one is the same basic hack and slash mechanics, just with a different camera angle. Sometimes side on for a side scrolling effect, and sometimes top down for a more RPG feel. Either way, it's all bells and whistles, with no actual change to the gameplay. There is sometimes a mini game before the main combat levels, which was a nice treat and change of pace. It's also worth noting that you can use either Travis or Badman, both of which can be leveled up how you wish and used for couch co-op, but unfortunately, that just makes the game even easier. The gameplay does feel fun to use, but grows tiresome very quickly, and is nowhere near up to the quality of the comedic storytelling that goes along with it. Although I keep praising the humour of the game, there were times where I felt the writers may be using it as an excuse for the more dull moments. The best example of this is that in between the main 6 worlds, you have to participate in a visual novel part of the game, which then leads on to the more exciting Death Drive games. The first time this happens, it drags big time. It starts off as funny and nostalgic, but just seemed to go on, which led me fighting the urge to just skip the lot. When it came to do this again before the 3rd game, the characters openly discussed not taking too long in case it impacts their Metacritic score. Although this did make me laugh, I also felt a level of frustration that the game developers were fully aware that they were dragging parts of the game out, but felt that they could get away with it by making it part of the in-joke. The visuals look great, bringing a very particular anime style that is not uncommon to see on the Switch, but also carries over perfectly to the PS4. The soundtrack goes all in on the arcade nostalgia which you'd expect, and although there's nothing wrong with it, I'd say it's not exactly memorable either. There are some pretty cool cosmetics, well, one, which gives you the ability to buy different t-shirts for Travis and Batman, giving the player a wide selection of choices, which include designs from popular indie games such as Undertale, Hollow Knight and Hotline Miami, as well as some other cool little surprises that I won't spoil here. Unfortunately though, with the ever-changing camera angles often being quite far away from the action, and Travis constantly wearing a giant purple jacket, you don't often get the satisfaction of seeing the t-shirt you just purchased. That is unless you're saving the game in one of the game's hilariously designed toilet cutscenes. Travis Strikes Again is a fun little addition to the No More Heroes franchise, which, if you're already a fan, you will undoubtedly love, especially if you missed this the first time around on the Nintendo Switch. However, new players, and maybe even some returning ones, will be welcomed in with hilarious storytelling, only to be let down by some lackluster gameplay, which appears to be a lot of fun on the surface, but soon falls apart when looking for something with even a little bit of depth. If you fancy a mindless hack and slash with a ton of laughs along the way, then definitely give Travis Strikes Again a go. Though, for players looking for maybe a little more, maybe just wait to see what No More Heroes 3 offers up. I give Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes on PS4 a 7 out of 10.
Just bring it. You win.
Thank you for watching. Have you played Travis Strikes Again? Do you have complete different opinions? Let me know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to check out some of our other videos right here on our YouTube channel. We also have podcasts which can be found on Spotify, Stitcher and iTunes. And for all the latest news and reviews, make sure to check out respawning.co.uk. We also have a Patreon page with a ton of fun rewards, so make sure to check that out at patreon.com/respawning. Thanks again for watching. I've been Mikey, and I'll catch you next time.